I've been using it for a real mix of individual student work and that homework style, but also whole class games. I think the other thing that I'm finding useful is particularly for those less engaged kids, they often are less engaged because they have such a low opinion of their own abilities. When I take their Frankenstories and I say, but look at all this work you've produced, and it's because over the term, they're able to look at all the stories that they've contributed to and see that as their own work, and they didn't even realise it was work. They're also really enthusiastic about Write Like, which has been awesome because I've never seen kids so invested in grammar and punctuation in my life. They love the proofreading exercises.
How do you use Frankenstories, and has that evolved since you first started?
It's definitely evolved. I think when I first started, it was like the carrot at the end of the lesson. With this project-based learning unit that I've been doing this term, we focused on mood and how we can use language, sentence structuring and things to create mood. Frankenstories and Write Like both proved very, very effective for teaching that. I was able to do a massive game with my students that went for about 50 minutes. It was one of your mood roulette ones. Just slightly tweaked it to use some of the vocab that we've been using through the term. It gave a really good indication of their learning for the whole term because it requires that critical creative thinking to think on the spot, because they'd have one version of the story in their head and the mood would change and they'd have to kind of rethink all the language that goes into it. So it proved a really great challenge, particularly for my high achieving students, to put them in that tough spot of having to change at the last second.
You've got a spread of classes. Do you find that the older students or the younger students, who gets more out of it, do you think?
I guess I use it in slightly different ways with each of my classes. I think the sevens get more out of the collaborative aspect of the game. With the 8s and 9s, I find it especially helpful for homework. And with the 9s, I'd love to use it as joint construction for analytical writing rather than just creative.
Hearing from yourself and other teachers, it's really valuable to hear how it's being used in class.
Yeah, definitely. It's had a really positive impact in all of my English classes, and I'm very appreciative.